Well, welcome to Joe Daily Brief, and this evening you are welcome to my channel. And this is an update that I'll be giving because this morning there was a lockdown at Luke Airport base. So, what we'll be doing is we'll be giving you an update on it. Have they lifted the lockdown? And we look at the details of it. So that is what we will be doing this evening. We are not going to take much time this evening, but we are going to update you guys what really happened and what is the details of what the authorities had to give us, because it's very important for us to get the reports detailing what really happened and why the authorities also gave maybe a minute or less an hour and 30 minutes lockdown, so that you'll be able to know what really happened. Yeah, so first what we'll do is we'll go through the story, what really happened and what we know so far. Then we give you some of the visuals from our partners from ABC. So lockdown lifted at Luke AFB after active shooter reports investigated. Luke Air Force Base was off lockdown after earlier reports of a possible active shooter at the base on December 19th. Military personnel had been ordered to shelter in place as law enforcement responded. The base went into a lockdown at 10:28 a.m. that is in the morning, this morning, after receiving a report of potential active shooter, and the security forces with the base along the Glendon police searched and cleared the area according to a statement from the base public affairs. The team found no active threats and the lockdown was ultimately lifted at 11:21 a.m. So the information went out around 10:28 a.m. and the place was locked down. And what they did was around 11:21 a.m. after police had done their investigation, they found no threats over there. So almost an hour, the Air Force base was on lockdown and they had to lift it after that. Now, this was what the Brigadier General said after that. Said any report of a potential threat to our people, installation, or equipment is taken seriously at Luke Air Force Base. Is very important. We initiated a lockdown procedures to protect our people while our security forces, defenders, and law enforcement partners assess the situation. We used these measures decisively and proactively, and today they worked exactly as intended. So this was what the brigadier had to tell us after that. So what we'll do is go back to another source to also get a bit more detail on it. So Luke Air Force Base says a lockdown was initiated just around 10:30 a.m. That was today. In response to that report, potential active shooter incident occurring on the installation, the 56th Security Forces Squadron and local law enforcement authorities responded immediately and cleared the affected area. No threats was found. All base operations have instructed to continue as normal. So first they reported it on their Facebook handle. So this was it. At approximately 10:28 a.m., Luke Air Force Base initiated a lockdown procedure in response to a report of potential active shooter occurring just around their installation. As of 11:21 a.m., the lockdown at the Luke Air Force Base was lifted. The 56th Security Force Squadron and local law enforcement authority responded immediately. So that's what I read earlier. What we are going to do is get some of the videos or some of the visuals from our partners. That's from our partners ABC in Arizona. So that's what we will be giving you right away. So let's take how they covered the incident. That is what really happened around the Air Force Base, and the reporters who were around it, how they gave us, like how they reported the issue, and also they got some people to also give us their opinions on that. So let's take a listen to them. Then after that, we'll come back to the studios.
able to text them or try to contact them by phone somehow, because at this go on base to try to reach your loved ones, of course, where there may be a situation where there's some sort of meeting point for people who are on base once this shelter in place is lifted. But at this point, we don't have any of that information. We just know that there is a current shelter in place for those who do remain on base at this hour.
And again, shelter in place involves, so if you are trying to reach any of your family members who happen to be on the base, hopefully you can get through to them at the best time. And if you have an emergency like this taking place, the best thing to do is text. Do not call. You do not call for a variety of reasons. One, it does take up more bandwidth. So text messages will always go through in an emergency when everyone's trying to use their phones at the same time. Typically, you can always get those text messages through to your loved ones. The other part of this is that if you have an active shooter situation going on in a particular building, let's say, or in an area that you can hear a phone ring, the last thing you would want would be to have that phone ring in your loved one's pocket, obviously, and alert that potential active shooter that, hey, there's somebody behind this wall or this door or in this hallway or what have you. So text your loved ones if you have anybody on the base to check in on them if you feel like that is something you need to do. But I would recommend not calling, just to have that extra layer of safety for your loved ones who might be on the base right now. Some of the reports on social media are saying that this may be taking place in the area of the Luke Blockhouse, which is off of North Litchfield Road. Something we're going to work to confirm. That is actually right across the street. That particular location is right across the street from the 56th Security Forces Squadron, who I was mentioning, their law enforcement, the military, the Air Force's law enforcement. Every branch has their own military, police, for Army, etc. For the Air Force, though, those are the force protectors. And so the Security Forces Squadron right across the street from this particular building, going to work to confirm what folks, again, this is social media within their community commenting, within Luke Air Force Base community, they're commenting about what's going on. Obviously, a lot of concern. Some people saying, hey, I just left the base here just moments ago. So concerns of people just leaving. Hey, nothing was going on, but now there certainly is. So we are going to continue to monitor this very, very closely here. Again, our crew's heading out that way. I'm going to start making some calls myself here. We're going to head to break, and we're going to have more coverage right after this. Stay with us.
If you don't understand the rules of power, you will certainly lose.
So that was when they went on break. So I think what I would do is I would definitely bring you those reportage that happened after this, so that we'll be able to know what really happened. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, okay. Okay, yep.
From first responders, law enforcement, and emergency personnel are also actively responding here at multiple crews on its way to Luke Air Force Base right now, working to gather more information. Our team here has been making many calls behind the scenes. That Facebook post from Luke Air Force Base says that the safety of their airmen, families, and community is top priority. The public is being asked to avoid this area. The public is also being asked not to spread any unverified information during this time. They say that additional information will be released as it becomes available. Here at ABC 15, we have Craig McKee joining me here at the anchor desk. We also have Kaylee O'Kelly joining in on this as well. We've been reading some of the Facebook comments that are coming in, of course, and none of the Facebook comments are verified information, but we are hearing from loved ones who are making posts right now saying that they have family members who are on that base right now. Kaylee, what are you finding out?
I know I was sending you some of the things that I was reading on Facebook. This is interesting. Someone on Facebook said, wait a minute, I thought this was a training. And so I looked in to make sure whether or not this was, and I found this. The training, which is what somebody else said on Facebook, happened on December 10th. And that was confirmed on the Facebook page. Luke Air Force Base will be performing an active shooter drill. Again, that was on December 10th.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. We're just getting word, in fact, from Glendale PD, though, at this time, there is no evidence of any active shooter. No one's been fired at or shot at this time. So a lot of details coming in as they're still continuing the investigation here. Again, Glendale PD responding, the force protectors on the base responding.
But there's still a shelter in place. There are still
shelter in
loved
place.
ones on that base, and there are still a lot of confusion and questions here that we're working to get answered for you. So again, to reiterate what Craig just said, Glendale Police is reporting that no shots have been fired on base, but they are still responding right now to a situation. So what that means, we're still working to gather
There's
those
also
details.
a school on base, and we're trying to get in touch with what might be happening there as well. But I did read that people are being told to shelter in place, obviously in the name of safety. There was one gentleman who commented that he was stopping out of the base just to fuel up his vehicle. The gate was closed and he was turned away.
And Craig, you were reading some comments about where on base, particularly, that this may be taking place too.
Right, and again, we do want to run with the
Right.
the hesitation
Nothing has
here
been
that nothing has
verified.
been verified
Right.
or confirmed. But many people that are talking about, hey, I am currently sheltering in place, and some of the communications that are on the Luke Air Force Base Facebook page right now, many people are pointing to the area of what is called the Block House, administrative building that also houses the legal office and some other components, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical. That's right off of North Litchfield Road, across the street from the 56th Security Forces Squadron, in fact, which are the force protectors who would be responding to this incident, and likely, of course, responding very quickly to this incident. In fact, some people responding on the Facebook post saying the best security forces, squadron out of all the Air Force. Obviously, they're very proud of their force protectors there on the base.
I just gotta go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say, our producer just got in our ear and told us that Glendale Police is saying that they are still clearing buildings right
Yes.
now, even though there have not been any reports of shots being fired.
Just got this into my inbox 44 seconds ago, and it says from Glendale PD, good afternoon. So far, there's no evidence any shots have been fired. There's no evidence of any active shooter being present. Luke remains on lockdown, though, while we continue to clear buildings at an abundance of caution.
And that's the key part. I mean, this could have been somebody who sees someone carrying something, and granted, there are weapons on a military base, and somebody may have just reported something that they saw something before shots have actually been fired. As they say, it's always better if you see something, say something. That's what Homeland Security preaches. That's what any law enforcement preaches, that if you see something, say something. And this could be that type of a situation where somebody thought that they saw something, they reported it. And you have to actively go into the mode of, all right, active shooter, let's put all the measures in place, all the security, all the response. You have to do that.
Yeah, and because unfortunately, these have been real. In times past. I want to let you know I reached out to my source at Glendale PD just to confirm. This is before we got that email, and he's just now getting back to me and saying what I was sharing before. They are clearing those buildings, but that they do remain on lockdown until that is complete.
Right. So, of course, they are still asking that the public steers clear of this area as they're still working to figure all of this out right now. So, of course, if you have loved ones who are on the base right now, and Craig, you had mentioned this earlier, text message is probably going to be your best bet when it comes to communicating with those loved ones on the base. Of course, we want to allow law enforcement the space and the safety in order to check out this area and make sure that everything is safe before trying to impede in any way on that area and their investigation right now. But again, to reiterate here that there is still a shelter in place as they do work to figure all of this out. And here at ABC 15, as soon as we heard about this in our newsroom, we had multiple crews rushing out the door. Of course, this is way out west in the West Valley, kind of off the 303. Right between the 303 and 101 near the Waddell area. So it is going to take some time for our crews to get there. Right. I see we have our chopper overhead right now flying there, which can get there much quicker. Once we're able to get a clearer image from that chopper to actually see what the scene looks like, we'll be able to set a better picture for you all.
Right. And fortunately, it is Friday in the sense that Friday light, as we like to say, on the traffic situation. Our crews should be getting there hopefully a little quicker than normal during the workday. But Sweet James Chopper images here. Obviously en route to Luke Air Force Base. Again, no evidence that this active shooter situation is actively taking part. Glendale PD saying they have no evidence, but they are going building by building. It's a concentric search. You know, they're going to go and clear every single building where this was potentially happening, or it was initially reported of taking place and starting. And they will go through and clear every single person they come across, and they will go through and clear every closet underneath every desk. Every building will be cleared systematically as they approach this, because they start off, they cordon off a certain area, obviously, during the response, and they start working through that process. So this will not necessarily be something over very quickly, as they still have to go through and just make sure that everything is cleared and on the up and up.
A lot of the things that we're hearing are, again, people responding on Facebook. One woman says, I live nearby. She posted this 2 minutes ago, and I just hear the jets flying again. Hopefully that means it has been resolved. And nothing is confirmed.
Right.
Another woman saying, yes, my youngest daughter is there. She let me know that she is safe as well. And she said that she has also been hearing those jets fly. But none of this is confirmed.
Right.
Right. You think of how large of an installation Luke Air Force Base is. I mean, there are thousands of people there at that base on any given day. And so, of course, this is going to take some time for law enforcement to do their work, going in and out of each individual building, as we had mentioned, working to clear every single space to make sure that there is no current threat to the base or any threat to the public. So again, as Luke Air Force Base is reporting, they want the public to steer clear of this area so that they can do their investigation. And of course, hopefully here pretty soon, we're going to get a clear picture of what that scene looks like, because as we can imagine, there is going to be law enforcement from all across the valley responding to this
there
scene
right now, right?
Right
Absolutely.
now.
You mentioned the blockhouse, Craig, and I want to talk about that because someone had mentioned that is where those shots may have been heard.
Right.
And so we just want to reiterate that again, nothing confirmed. But clearly we have a lot of people sheltering in place, maybe even listening to us right now, wondering exactly what is happening, which is why we are trying to cover this extensively.
And if you do happen to have any photos or video in the area, if you've witnessed something, you're seeing that response firsthand, perhaps you're over at one of the shopping centers just outside the main gates there, and you're seeing this activity taking place, and you happen to be streaming us right now just to get the latest updates on things as well, feel free to share any pictures and video that you have to share at abc15.com. That is share at abc15.com. You can also visit abc15.com/share, and you can push those images and video to us. We would love to see them. Obviously, just flying over State Farm Stadium here, so we are getting closer. We are actively following this. We're going to make some more phone calls and try to get some more details. But again, share at abc15.com. Stay with us. We'll have more breaking news coverage right after this.
So this was when the coverage was going on. So it happened that just around the afternoon, it was reported that nobody, like an hour ago, like it was reported that the place had been cleared. So that was what happened, and but we want to also get a feeling of what really happened. That's why we are giving you all these kind of updates here. So you see all these kind of videos, these visuals from the Air Force Base. So what you are seeing is the Air Force Base, just around the Air Force Base. So there's a view, like that's what really you're seeing up there. Yeah.
Behind the scenes, Jamie Boren here alongside Craig McKee. We also have Kaylee O'Kelly weighing in on this. We've all been actively looking at
obviously
all of these
the eagle-eyed
reports.
view here now of the Luke Air Force Base here. James Chopper took a second to get out there. We've spoken to some witnesses out on the scene, though. Said that stuck in lines of the cars, you know, at the base pharmacy, saying that people inside the pharmacy rolled down the metal shutters, turned off the lights without saying anything, which, again, all protocol, right? Told to turn off the lights, shut the doors, lock the doors, all those things that go into place when an alert for an active shooter comes out. He did say, also mentioning similar to the one comment that you had read, talking about flight operations continuing, jets still in the air. Those operations still continuing. That could have also been the jets are already in the air, already in motion by the time this kicked out as well. So we're not sure if they're going to be pausing those or if those will continue. But this really appears to be focused, at least initially, on one side of the base, though, northeast.
I'm waiting for a response from my contact at Glendale PD. As soon as he finishes his thought, I want to let you know, too, we were handed some information from one of our producers, and there was a gentleman that one of our reporters had talked to says flight operations, seems like you just said, Craig, are continuing as far as he can see. Jets are still in the air. And from his vantage point, they hadn't heard any gunshots, but we did see some other reports from people on Facebook who said that they had heard those shots fired near the blockhouse. So my friend here who works at PD, my contact at Glendale Police Department, I said, can you confirm that things are all clear as we're texting? And he said, we are still there. We are almost clearing the scene, but now Luke is taking the lead.
And if we can, this is obviously a great shot from Sweet James Chopper here. Take a ground shot here from ADOT. We're able to use a number of cameras, of course, at our convenience here, and taking a close look. Obviously, no real activity. You can see one jet off in the distance there, another one under a shelter, maybe a little movement in the center of the screen, but really not a lot of activity, at least from this vantage point, the air traffic control tower there. Obviously, there is a tweet out from Senator Ruben Gallego right now. If we can show you that as well and bring that up. Okay, and you can see that he is saying that my team is closely monitoring reports of an active shooter at Luke Air Force Base in the West Valley there. Thank you to law enforcement and emergency crews for their swift response. Everyone in the area, please remain cautious as we continue to learn more. So again, just basically some thoughts and prayers. They're actively monitoring the situation, but no new information or new news there. But obviously, our politicians get alerted to these things, and they have a responsibility to be involved and get the information out to us and to the public.
You know, can I just go ahead?
I was going to say, we just want to reiterate here that, of course, we had multiple teams that are still on their way to the base. So hopefully, once they're able to get some shots up on the ground, we're going to have a little bit of a clearer picture of what that scene looks like. Although we are seeing some of that right now from our chopper, it's kind of hard to make out what exactly we're looking at. I mean, clearly we
can see
a
some
lot
lines
of
out
vehicles
there.
Yes,
Can we take the chopper shot full so we can get a better perspective here? Okay, some vehicles just moving along like normal. I don't see any emergency force protector vehicles in that particular area. Obviously, the operators up in the helicopter will be scouring just like we do on any scene. They scour around for any activity when we follow any type of an active scene like this, and hopefully we'll be able to get a better perspective of what's taking place and actually which buildings we're even looking at. That's the other challenge.
We're seeing so many different reports on social media of the different buildings that people have been sheltered in place in, but we haven't gotten any confirmation specifically on what spots on the base that, you know, Luke Air Force Base officials are focused on right now.
You can see a line of cars there. You know, I think this might be a good time to say this. Craig, a lot of our viewers don't know that you're a veteran. So you bring a unique perspective to coverage like this.
Well, I've actually been a member of law enforcement within the Air Force. I was what is now called a force protector. I was law enforcement back in the day. It was separated back then. They merged everything after I left. But, you know, I've done these responses. I've actually controlled and trained fellow officers in these types of responses as well on military bases overseas. And again,
what's happening right now behind the scenes?
Again, there's that initial response. I'm just getting my here. We're going to go to break real quick. We'll get more on that in just a minute. Sweet James Chopper is going to keep looking for a potential scene here. We're going to give you the latest updates coming up next.
That was the chopper's view of what was happening. That was in the afternoon, and probably that was when the lockdown was lifted. So what we will do is you'll still get to see more of
when I saw the domain was available, I was like,
what was still happening. So
day, just inspecting vehicles as they come in. It looks like no vehicles are moving in through this particular gate at this time. Again, the military and the force protectors there are going to go through their normal protocol. Whatever that initial call was, as I said earlier, you see something, say something. So they are going to respond as if this is completely a legitimate call until they can prove otherwise. So they're going to go through and cordon off an area and then start systematically searching through alleyways and roadways and buildings and securing each and every building. And all the folks who have been told to shelter in place, they received that alert on base. They've received that text message alert and some of the other platforms that the military uses to receive those notifications. The shelter in place goes in place. They lock the doors, just like we've covered in school shootings. All that training kicks in. Everyone seals down everything. Right. That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
And my contact from Glendale PD, if you're just now tuning in, did reach out and he did say no active shooter, that there have been no signs of any shots fired, and that they had been clearing the buildings, and that folks there do remain on lockdown until it's complete. And then he got back to me and said that yes, Glendale PD is still there, but that Luke is now taking the lead.
Right, and looking at these live images, you know, we haven't seen a whole lot of law enforcement, at least from this chopper shot right here. But we have a reporter, a photographer about 5 minutes away. We have another photographer there on scene that was giving us that ground shot where you could see the base there. And then from there, it didn't look like any vehicles were going in and out at this time. You know, we're working to verify all information, of course, but we've been getting some accounts from witnesses there on scene. In fact, one person told us that they were stuck in a long line of cars outside by the base pharmacy, saying that from their vantage point, they haven't heard any gunshots. They didn't even see any emergency response other than the fact that people on base were on lockdown. So that's just one witness account. Of course, we're seeing some other unverified accounts right now, of course, on Facebook and other social media platforms. Folks saying that, of course, they have loved ones on base right now. They're working to gather some information. People telling us different places on base that they were locked down inside of, or that their loved ones were on lockdown, different portions of that base. But again, the latest here from Glendale Police is that there is no evidence of shots being fired and that there is no evidence of an active shooter being present. But of course, when that initial report comes in and you hear that report of an active shooter, that is what prompted this massive response, of course, from law enforcement.
And the post actually from Luke Air Force Base 55 minutes ago now at this point, no update. And they did say that at the bottom of this, additional information will be released as it becomes available. So at this point, Luke Air Force Base and their public affairs team has not posted any new information to say the all clear has been given. Again, our ground crew there showing the one entry point of the base still with traffic backed up. So again, whether they are completely halted there or if they're just doing extra inspections as you do for security to allow those folks onto the base, it's unclear, but it does not appear like right now that anybody is going in or out of the base right now.
We have heard, though, you know, obviously that they are sheltering in place. Mm-hmm. There are people who have commented saying that jets are flying.
Right.
And I want to ask you, before we went to break, Craig, we were talking about you having organized circumstances like these in the past, and we'll talk more about that when we come back.
What we will do next is we will take a final visuals from ABC 10, probably because we don't really have, we are just giving you some of the visuals that was happening in the afternoon. So that is what we are doing currently so that you guys will know what really happened. So we will just give you the last visuals for what really happened and what the update was in the afternoon. We've already informed you of what happened in around like 11:30. Yeah, the lockdown was lifted. So we just want to give you some of the visuals.
Working to gather more information for you all, working to gather what is next here, because clearly when you first hear that report of an active shooter, that prompts this massive response from law enforcement. Now we're hearing from Glendale Police of that, but we do have Kaylee O'Kelly here with us, and you were saying that your contact over at Glendale Police told you that Luke has now taken over this portion of the investigation, that they're going to be our go-to contact. So we've been trying to work behind the scenes to get in contact with them just to verify what Glendale Police has also said.
We're also getting some conflicting reports. Some people are saying the all clear has been given. We have not been able to confirm that, though, with officials. We've not been able to confirm that with Luke. We've not been able to confirm that with Glendale Police just yet. But That was my next question for my contact, whom I've been texting with, and I know he's working to get us an official answer as we speak. But in the meantime, we are watching here from high above the Sweet James chopper to give you a bird's eye view of exactly what's happening live right now there at Luke Air Force Base, where again we're told the base is on lockdown until the all clear officially has been given.
And I've reached out to the Chief of Public Affairs out at Luke Air Force Base. We're waiting for a response from her. I'll update you right after this.
Monday.com.
That has just started. So we'll send it back inside to you guys, and now looking like they're coming out of the base. We have not been seeing that, I don't think, although we got here really within the last 2 or 3 minutes. So we are like everyone waiting for information. Say that one more time in my ear, producer Noah. We have a new angle of cars here at the South Gate. We have had our teams kind of going all around, trying to see what is going on, trying to get information. And I know that you guys have been doing the same back at the studio. We are waiting for information, but it looks like we do have cars here coming out of the base. And I don't believe that is something that we have seen and that has just started. So we'll send it back inside to you guys, and we'll look for an update here as well.
Good news here is we're seeing activity, people leaving the base, and there is more activity now, which could be a very good sign. Obviously, this is a breaking news situation. We're going to continue to follow it. We're going to have more updates for you after the break. We've got some new information coming in. Keep it here. Luke Air Force Base finally updating on their Facebook page.
And saying that approximately 10:28, they initiated lockdown procedures in response to a report of a potential active shooter incident occurring there in the installation. Craig, we've talked about you being in the military. You are a veteran. It's hard not to notice people there on base. They are surrounding a white vehicle of some sort.
Well, that could be a response vehicle as well. We don't know. Obviously, all those vehicles in the line there, they're all white in color. So it's unclear from this vantage point whether or not that's a response vehicle. They could just be doing a debrief there after the response, where you get the different, airmen in place and the sergeants, staff sergeants, tech sergeants, everyone in place, the captains, all the ranks, really, the force protection, the squadron there together, and they start debriefing. Okay, what happened? What did you see? So it's all just kind of part of the process. So right now, at least from this vantage point, it's unclear if that white car they're kind of standing next to is a response vehicle, or perhaps something involved in this, something that they saw at the blockhouse, which you can see the words on the side of the building there that do confirm this is the blockhouse location on Luke, just off North Litchfield Road.
And for those who aren't familiar with Luke Air Force Base, and Craig, with your experience in the military working on bases, do you know what is typically at the blockhouse, or what could be at the blockhouse?
Well, this particular location, according to the mighty world of Google, because one thing on military installations, that if I know anything about military installations, sometimes they reuse buildings and then reuse buildings. So something you think was in there, 2 years ago is not there now. This reportedly has legal in it. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical has a space in there as well. It's kind of an admin building for the most part. So there are a number of different resources in there. We are getting reports there is an ambulance apparently arriving. No. Okay, now I'm not getting that. We were initially getting some reports about an ambulance involved in this somehow, but now we're retracting that. But we can see the ambulance could just be part of just the regular response to the scene. As you have a house fire, you have any medical call nowadays, you get fire, you get ambulance, you get police, you get everything all in one. So that ambulance could actually be part of just that initial call. So maybe no major emergency. Obviously, you don't see anybody running around actively here, which is also good news. And I do want to make that very clear here, is that when we come on the air, we don't know all the details. We're relying on sources and reaching out to different folks. And unfortunately, the Chief of the Public Affairs out at Luke Air Force Base, obviously they have their hands full of not been able to get back to me regarding the situation out there at this point. But a lot of moving parts in this, and really, if there's a silver lining at this point, we're hearing that, you know, no one is involved in this, and that there haven't been any injuries to this point, which is always, you know, a blessing whenever
It's the
you're
best
talking
possible
about
news,
this.
right?
Absolutely.
And it just goes to show that at Luke Air Force Base and members of our community law enforcement, like at Glendale
Right.
Police Department, they take these things seriously to make sure that everybody is okay.
And important to mention here just how many people are on base right now and how many individuals were impacted by that lockdown and that shelter in place. In fact, as we're showing you live from the ground, we were seeing that it looked like cars were not being allowed inside of the base at this time, but we were seeing cars coming out. So that was also a good indicator as we're now learning that this lockdown has been lifted.
You can see there's a line of traffic still waiting, more emergency vehicles going to the area. So looking at the response, it's not completely over yet, as they're still trying to assess just what happened here, because that's the big question too. If there was a report of an active shooter and now there isn't, they need to then evaluate where the information come from and then evaluate the response itself. So, and we're going to check in here. We've got a few more minutes left in the show here. We're going to kind of settle through some things. We'll get back to you right after this break with the latest updates and round this out.
So that'll be it for two.
I'm about to reveal a snoring fix that most.
So that'll be it for today, because we wanted to give you an update on it and also show you some of the pictures and also some of the visuals that really happened. So in the morning there was an active shooting notice that went on, and that was somewhere around 10:30 in the morning, and it was reported by the Air Force Base account on Facebook account, and later around 11:30, that's an hour later, they cleared the place, so it was lifted after that. So that was some of the visuals that we brought to you, kind courtesy by our partners from ABC 15 in Arizona. Yeah, so this is where we will end our show today. But God being so good, we didn't have any shooting incidents, any injuries, anybody dying out of it. So that's a good news. That was a good news, and we pray that nothing of that sort of happens, because it was really important for us to delve into details to know what really happened. That was why we brought you this news, this update. It was important really, because this is an Air Force base. So if there was a shooting incident, that meant it would have been a lot of like chaos around it, and it's important that there was a lockdown. They placed a lockdown on it, and an hour later they had to lift it. So it was really very important, and very important for the military, for the hierarchy to do that, for them to put a lockdown on it, and later they lifting the lockdown. So it's very important, because when they did that, nobody was moving, but I think an hour later you saw that people were moving out of the place. Cars were moving, and also people were also moving. So it was very important for the hierarchy to do that. So that was the news that happened this morning. As we always do here, we bring you some of the updates on most of the news bulletin that happens. Not all, we can't bring you all the news, right? We can't bring you all the updates, but mostly what we do is we bring you some of the most popular news that really happen during the day. Not all, because we can't do all those news items here as well. So thank you for joining, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow in the evening, somewhere around 9 or 8 p.m. Pacific time here, and we'll try to bring you some of the updates. Maybe tomorrow I might be bringing you most of the update during the week. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but hey, we wait to see. My name is Wale Yeboah. Keep streaming, and also make sure you subscribe to our channel, so that if there's any information, if there's any updates, you would also be conversant with it, what really happened. Come to our live sessions and come and listen to what really is going on. Thank you very much, and we thank our partners as well, ABC 15 in Arizona, for giving us those visuals as well. Thank you. See you tomorrow.